Hey Tada, it's Mmusi My Money, and yet another edition of Your Own Money. Today we're going to talk about how the fuel levy is calculated. You will remember that today being the 1st of April, there's been a significant increase in how the fuel is costing at the pump. So for a basic understanding of how the fuel is calculated, here's how your price comes together. Fuel is calculated in three basic buckets. The first bucket really is what is international markets, oil prices, etc. And that constitutes close to about 60% of the fuel levy. So if you have a weak currency, higher oil prices, this is what makes that component of it go higher. And that figures out at about 15 Rand to the litre. The second component of it is what is called general levies that are levied by the state. These include the Road Accident Fund, they include general levies, and, for example, other types of taxes. These become about 3 to 4 Rand of the fuel levy coming in on board. The last bit, or the last bucket, or the third component of this issue is actually general profits, or what happens to the business that is selling on fuel, and that brings the rest of the fuel price together. So the total price of it is that at landing it becomes 23 Rand, just there and thereabouts, per litre of fuel. Now here's what happened in the recent while, is that that first component has come under severe pressure. 80% of all the oil in the world is being transported through the Strait of Hormuz, which, as the current conflict is taking place, has meant there's now limited supply of oil going to other countries. South Africa is a net importer of oil, which means that in essence, as our currency faces strain and there's limited supply, there's an increase in the first price. And potentially, we were looking at fuel increases of anything between 4 Rand for petrol and 7 Rand for diesel. And so effectively, what this means is that we will add more pressure to citizens. I'm glad to say the Minister of Finance has heard the cry, as Build One South Africa, we've been fighting this issue for a while, to say you need to deal with the component that you've got control over, which are the taxes, that second bucket. And so they've been able to reduce that by 3 Rand for a month worth of relief. This means that in the next month, what should have been a potential increase is now being absorbed by the state only for a month. And as the Minister of Finance goes to great lengths to say, this is not a permanent feature, it's a temporary feature. So I want to suggest that to think about how we fund things, we need to think hard about how do we cut some of government expenditure, make sure that we can continue at least some of this relief. Because actually at the end of the day, the only people who pay, or actually it's not the people who fill up their cars who pay. Fuel is an additional or administered cost to many other aspects. It's an administered cost to electricity, it's an administered cost to what, for example, food prices, to people who use public transport, to all other aspects of life. And so if you don't deal with this component, what is the inflationary pressure could get worse. And already the South African Reserve Bank has already told us that their band of 1 to 3, what they wanted to keep intact, has now come under pressure that they have not reduced interest rates. So the broader picture that I'm trying to paint for you is that the way we calculate our fuel is a matter that is up for debate, that needs review. And also the fact that in the region, in the SADC region, our prices are all under pressure. It becomes absolutely crucial that a responsive government listens to its citizens and we make the appropriate adjustments. We keep the fight alive, and I'll keep making sure that the government spends your money in the best way possible. Speak soon. Shop.